Hey yo, what's up guys, Luigi Striker here, and today we are doing another coaster fight. Yes, I know, we haven't done a coaster fight in a while, but finally they are returning, and all of you must be complaining you had to wait so long. Yeah, it took such a long time to make a coaster fight. I feel like only Creeper Jackson's complaining though. Anyways, this coaster fight obviously is going to be between Space Mountain, and then the other one is going to be versing is Ferrari, which is a coaster that Creeper Jackson and NH made, and me and Mario made Space Mountain, which is a cool coaster from Disney World. And this coaster right here, Ferrari, I would say, like, even though Ferrari, kind of like Ferrari World, it's kind of like a car themed, like really fast themed amusement park. They have a car themed here, so I guess it's kind of themed after Ferrari World, but they made this coaster out of their own design. I feel like NH did the coaster design and Creeper Jackson helped with the other cool detail around here. So yeah, I'll be versing this with Space Mountain, and how we're going to do a coaster fight, if you haven't watched any other ones, but I'll always repeat it just in case. We'll be going with a couple of stats, and the stats we'll have is height, speed, duration, bars, waiting line, lighting, loading station, theming, logo, lag, scenery, overall experience, exit, and layout. And they're going to be out of 10, and the total amount of points you can get in a coaster fight is 140, which is very unlikely. Because mostly why it's unlikely is because if you have a really good detailed ride, it would probably be laggy, and like even if it was really tall, it would still be laggy. And some of the times the most detailed rides aren't going to be the tallest rides in the world. So obviously, and also might not even be the longest ride. So definitely getting a perfect 140 out of 140 is going to be really hard for a coaster fight. But besides the point, we're going to be starting this coaster fight, and let's see who's going to win the coaster fight, Space Mountain or Ferrari. Let's begin. The story of the day is height, and both of these coasters aren't really known for their like huge heights, since they look pretty cool, and obviously as you can tell from Ferrari, from looking at the intro, it's not really that tall, but Creeper Jackson has been speculating like, well, wouldn't the highest point of the ride just be like when you're actually riding the ride? Well, I kind of consider the highest point of the whole thing was on the antenna point on the Space Mountain thing. But the highest point of the track here is right here. And so what I did was I just, like, from the tallest point, which is 60 blocks tall on this antenna here, I just kind of like did half of that. So that's your 2.8 score for height for Space Mountain. The Ferrari is getting 1.5 because highest point is right up here. And mostly what I do for height category, what I do, the tallest coaster on this realm now is Top Thrill Dragster Reborn, which is 172 blocks tall. So I divide the highest point of this ride by that, and that's the number you get for both of these. So, yep, 2.8 for Space Mountain and 1.5 for Ferrari. Still pretty close on points right now. You know, it's the first category. Our next category we have is the speed category. And some parts of this ride, even though it is kind of laggy because of the redstone there, like some parts while you're going through this part of the ride, sorry, it's hard to see. Give myself the power of night vision. Even though some parts of this ride are hard, I mean, obviously you probably can't really notice that much since you're in the dark, but I've noticed, I've watched pretty carefully while I'm looking for how the car goes through in the dark. There's definitely some parts from the ride where it does slow down, so that's why Space Mountain has an 8 out of 10, and I feel like the slowing down point of the ride kind of makes it like a little slowing down, like here for example. So yeah, there's not really a lot of places like where it slows down, but there's definitely some parts like where the track kind of like hits the edge of the bar here on both sides. So yeah, that's why Space Mountain it's gonna get 8 out of 10, but Ferrari has a really good speed on its ride. Like it pretty much keeps a really consistent speed. There's like only really one teeny little part like where there's like one part, yeah, right here, like where it drops and then it kind of like this slows down a little bit in the drop. And just kind of gets on the track a little slowly there, but that's not really part, so not really gonna get too much downing the points there. I'm sorry, I'm saying the words wrong. But yeah, Ferrari does win this category of speed by only 1.5 points, and yeah, pretty evenly number of points right now. Next is duration category, and Space Mountain only really lost the duration category by 0.1. Yeah, crazy. It's just 0.1. That's how much Space Mountain lost the duration category. Like, Space Mountain in the end was 1 minute and 20 seconds, and Ferrari was 1 minute and 28 seconds. So definitely not really a huge kind of like point difference, obviously just by 0.1 points, but Ferrari does win the category of how long the coaster goes for. I feel like the only reason why it actually won this category, the times for both coasters probably would have been really similar if it wasn't for all these stone walls here that kind of slow the coaster down, and this part where it just keeps slowing down the coaster here. But still, decent lengths of time for both of these coasters. So yeah, Ferrari wins this category by 0.1 points. Next we have the bar category, and usually we want to have some nice bar roller coasters, but Space Mountain's bars are just kind of ordinary. It's just a straight down bars everywhere on the track, because that's what I kind of realized when I looked at videos of Space Mountain with the lights on. Not really too much special for Space Mountain bars, so that's why Space Mountain's only really going to get a 5 out of 10 for bars, because straight down bars are kind of lame, but there's a lot of them, so like, might as well give it a half of 10 score, because why the frick not? And then, if we go to Ferrari, the bars for Ferrari are really, really good in my opinion. And the only reason why I did not give it a full 10 out of 10, because when I realized when looking at the bars really carefully, some of the bar designs are like the same in some areas, like how this, like the opening bar design here is kind of like right there again, and the cross bar designs in the areas. Yeah, a lot of the bar design is the same. I mean, right here, that's kind of like the cool bar design there. But yeah, some of the bar designs are just kind of like the same in some areas. So, I'm not saying just because they're same, like it looks bad. That's why I only really gave it a 0.5 point deduction. So yeah, Ferrari wins the bar category by 4.5 points. And Space Mountain loses the category by 4.5 points, obviously. Next, we have a waiting line category, and the waiting line category is definitely going to get Space Mountain some points back. Waiting line for Space Mountain is definitely a waiting line that I would like for any roller coaster that has a nice long waiting line, has cool details around the waiting line, nice glass design, even like little teleporting areas, these nice screens. The structure around the waiting line looks really cool, and especially the main waiting line area with the little TV screen thing there. And you got trash cans and this whole nice more waiting line area. Yeah, like waiting line for this ride is incredible. Definitely 10 out of 10. You can even go back here for the waiting line. Like there's so much waiting line. Definitely, since this is gonna be a popular ride at Disney World, it's even making sure that there's a lot of waiting line for the ride if it's gonna be popular on Minecraft. Sorry, my wording is bad. So yeah, definitely perfect 10 out of 10 for this ride. And Ferrari does have a pretty good waiting line. I mean, it could be a little bit longer because it's definitely going to look like a decently popular ride. This looks like a launching coaster. Usually launching coasters are decently popular in parks. Like Top Thrill Dragster is really popular in Cedar Point. And yeah, they did a pretty good job with their waiting line. You can even see like the nice Ferrari logo that they did there, and got like this cool car track thing here and blocks everywhere, the flames, even like little ditches. Yeah, the only reason why I didn't really give it a great score, because the waiting line, I mean, I know my waiting line ground is like kind of just like regular. I feel like they could maybe like extended it a little bit more, since this is probably going to be a popular ride. Maybe did a little more detail to this. And I'm not counting this area here because this is not part of the waiting line. But still, I'll give it a decent and good score. I mean, it's definitely has the theming in it, and I do like that. So 7 out of 10 for the waiting line, and 10 out of 10 for waiting line for Space Mountain. So Space Mountain wins this category by 3 points. Next up, we have the lighting category. So mostly how well the ride is illuminated at night. And also in the ride in general, because this is an inside ride for Space Mountain, but outside for Ferrari, just see how well it illuminates. Obviously the logo and the big amazing Space Mountain structure here lights up perfectly. That'll definitely give it around 4 points. But the reason why it kind of starts getting some downfalls because some parts on the ride are definitely not like lit up all the way. But it's still decently lit up, so I'm not really going to complain too much about it. But there's definitely some parts of the ride on the outside that are definitely not lit up at all. Especially this huge area here for Space Mountain that's not really even lit up at all, like the huge big black box. And even if you even look inside the ride, there's some parts of the... I mean, like, Space Mountain is actually a pretty dark ride inside, but definitely some parts of the ride where it's not really lit up too well. So, Space Mountain's gonna get a 6 out of 10. Not really gonna, like, give it a huge point deduction for some of the lighting it didn't have. I mean, it still has some decent lighting. It definitely gets a nice atmosphere effect for Space Mountain. So, yeah. And then if we go to Ferrari, the lighting for this ride is also pretty good, but there's definitely some parts of it where it's not lit up. You know, and the bottom parts of the bars aren't lit up at all. And the track, like mostly only the track is lit up. What the more parts of the bars aren't lit up, and maybe even some parts of the ground you could have lit up maybe just to like make the bars light up. And even like some parts of the waiting line, like this area here, is not lit up. So there's definitely some parts, like even on the loading station here, is not lit up. Definitely some dark parts. So I mean, there's definitely some dark parts, but I'm only gonna give it a deduction of 2 points. So Ferrari does win the lighting category this round, and Space Mountain only loses by 2 points. Next, we have the loading station category, and this whole area here for Space Mountain is the whole loading station category. So definitely Space Mountain is gonna get a nice 9 out of 10 for all the waiting line you have in the loading station. Like, there's 2 areas where you can even load up cars for both of the tracks, which is also pretty cool. And you got the tunnels going for the ride. And you even like have an area going back here for the waiting line, and the roof looks pretty cool, and even the nice details on the walls, the lights, nice detail in the middle here. Yeah, this area here is really cool. So definitely a pretty good score for the loading station, 9 out of 10 for sure. Not a perfect score, but still a really good loading station. But then we have Ferrari, and it's going to be an 8 out of 10 because the detail for this loading station, even though it's like tiny, it still has a decent, really cool amount of detail, especially this detail right here, which I really like. Even you got like a little light thing up here. This probably could have used a little more detail at the top. So yeah, even like inside the loading station, you can see all the cool detail, like the entrance there, and then the entrance over here as well. Even got some nice grass things. Yeah, the detail for this loading station is pretty freaking cool, but it's not as, like, I believe as good as like the Space Mountain one. Space Mountain one's bigger and has a lot more room for like loading up cars, like per se. I don't really know, but this coaster just lost by 1 point. Space Mountain got 9 for this category. So Space Mountain won the loading station category. Next we have the theming category. And both of these coasters actually do a decent job for their theming. I mean, like, this is like a cool, I suppose, you could say it's like a little space station thing up for the outside dome area. And even like when you go inside, it has a nice kind of like futuristic theme, like where it's all like dark, and you got like the cool lights, you got like the stars at the side, and more like futuristic lights. You even got like teleporting things, which is also futuristic. Yeah, a lot of this thing does look like kind of like spacey for Space Mountain, so definitely Space Mountain's gonna get a good score for its theming for around 7 out of 10. I mean, a lot of it's not really like, some of it like you can't really tell in Minecraft that's kind of like space themed, but definitely some of it you can totally tell is space themed, and I definitely really like that. Even like in the ride, I like that. So yeah, and this thing is lit up because sometimes the redstone sucks. But yeah, definitely this category for Space Mountain is gonna get a decent score of 7 out of 10. Could maybe use a little more theming so we could tell it's space themed. Then Ferrari is also gonna get 7 out of 10 for theming because obviously you can tell we have a nice car here, which is good for the kind of like race car theming, and the name kind of looks cool for the theming. Even like the like kind of like the launching thing looks kind of like a theming like launching car area. I don't know. The theming looks pretty good. Even like the car tracks at the station, and maybe even like the fire everywhere. Yeah, I suppose the theming for Ferrari is pretty good. So 7 out of 10 for theming for Ferrari. I'm just being a little generous for Ferrari's points. I probably would have given it a 6, but I feel like it deserves a 7. So yeah, both are tied for this category. And here's the category where Ferrari is going to start losing some points. We have the logo category. And obviously, the logo for Ferrari is just words and the F kind of just goes a line across with the launching area here. Not really another word on that side. So, frankly, the logo for Ferrari is pretty lame. Not really much to it. So I'm being like pretty generous and giving it a 4 out of 10. Not really a greatest logo ever. But if we go to Space Mountain's logo, I actually really do like Space Mountain's logo. Like, you have like, I really like the design of the words. It definitely kind of fits like the futuristic and spacey theme. And even got like the cool poles behind it, like where it attaches all the way up. You got all these connecting bars at the side. Yeah, the logo for Space Mountain is definitely pretty cool. It's actually one of the first roller coaster logos I've ever made for this amusement park. So definitely I'm gonna want to give this logo a good score of 9 out of 10. Next we have an important category, the lag category. Mostly how much this coaster will lag when you ride it. And obviously, like even like when you're going for the waiting line, like how much the coaster's gonna lag throughout the whole ride. And when I'm going for the waiting line, this coaster doesn't really lag at all. But I feel like when I'm riding the ride, there's definitely maybe like a few moments, maybe like in the loading station here, how it's like lagging a little bit, but not that much. But there's definitely some parts while you're going for the ride where it does start lagging a little bit. Like even like for this tunnel here, it does lag a little bit. But mostly that's only like one little points of the ride, so it like doesn't really like lag a lot for Space Mountain, but there's definitely some moments in the ride where it does lag. So I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Just only lose 1 point for lag. But Ferrari, if we go over to Ferrari, perfect 10 out of 10. I feel like there's not really any moments in this ride where it lags. It's really smooth, and you know, like the speed, like while it's going for the ride, is also like really good. Yeah, definitely like this ride is getting a perfect 10 out of 10 for lag, because there's like really no lag for this ride at all. So Ferrari wins this category just by 1 point. So next we have a category of the scenery. And the scenery category is kind of like where Ferrari starts downfalling some points. You know, like it's still got a decent score of 6 out of 10 because I like the grass around it, even like the trees over the lake area. But there's definitely some areas where maybe it could have used more trees around the ride. I mean, I guess the reason why they didn't have trees so you could probably see the ride a little better. But definitely scenery isn't like this ride's biggest strong point. So it's gonna get a 6 out of 10 for scenery. But I do like how they added trees here. Maybe even like a little swing here on the lake and a car. Definitely some pretty good scenery for this area. But you definitely need some scenery around the mostly roller coaster part of the ride. So 6 out of 10 for Ferrari. But if we go to Space Mountain's getting a really good score for scenery. I mean, there's definitely some parts of the ride, like where over here there's not really like trees around it because of the Joker logo and the mostly Joker rides. Mostly like around the outside structure, there's definitely a ton of trees. Definitely gonna get more points than the scenery for Ferrari. So there's like some little parts like where it doesn't have scenery around it, but I'm only going to give it 1 decrease for points, so Space Mountain's going to get a 9 out of 10 for scenery, and Ferrari's going to get 6 out of 10 for scenery, so Space Mountain wins this category by 3 points. Next category we have is the exit category, and exit for both rides, even like Space Mountain, like if I probably added like the extra detail, which actually is in the exit for the Space Mountain ride. Well, the extra detail for Space Mountain is hard to do, so I decided, I don't want to waste my time working on this ride anymore. So this is pretty much just the exit for Space Mountain, not really like the greatest exit ever. So a 4 out of 10, I'm being pretty generous for Space Mountain. But then if we go to Ferrari, Ferrari's exit isn't really a lot better either. Like, it doesn't even have, like, it doesn't even, like, loop around to the entrance. It just kind of goes out till nothing. Yeah, that's the, I mean, the exit, I guess, kind of looks cool, but it kind of needs, like, some more bars, like, attaching to the ground. It's not really how it would work in real life, unless this is supporting. Is this bar supporting it? It doesn't even look like it's supporting it. Yeah, the track is floating above it. It's not even supporting it, so definitely the exit for Ferrari is not really getting a great score either, so 4 out of 10 for both of the exits. Next we have the layout category, and Space Mountain actually, even though like it's in the dark, like even though like both sides of the track are pretty much like the same, the layout for Space Mountain is actually pretty cool, and I like how Disney designed it, and I like how it kind of turned out in Minecraft. Like, the layout is pretty decent. Like, it goes around like the spaceship here, even like goes all the way out and around. It has nice ups and downs and curve arounds, yeah, everywhere. It's a pretty cool ride. And I like how definitely how Disney designed this ride. So it definitely has a pretty cool layout, especially in a tight building per se. I mean, actually it's a pretty big building, but so yeah, Space Mountain's gonna get a pretty good score for its layout. 9 out of 10 for its layout. But also, if we go to Ferrari also has a pretty cool layout as well. I really do like how I'm pretty sure NH did the layout. I really like how NH did the layout. Has a nice curve around, even like a loop over there, like the curve arounds and the twist overs and stuff like that. Yeah, the layout for this ride is actually pretty stinking cool. I really like how Anish designed it, and even like how the way he designed it makes it even go a little faster. So definitely this layout is going to be pretty good, so 9 out of 10 for Ferrari's layout as well. The final and last category that we have for this coaster fight is the overall experience category. This category is pretty much just a category that will sum up who the heck is the winner of this coaster fight. I mean, even from the last category, which was the layout category, you would have seen like mostly the final points. But overall experience will give you the real final points. But mostly from the layout category, you can probably just tell which coaster won the coaster fight. And this coaster lost by 3.5 points, which is the coaster I'm at right now and facing down at the grass of it. Lost by 3.5 points. And that coaster is Ferrari, built by Creeper Jackson and NH. Probably took them a decent amount of time to make, but yep, this coaster lost the coaster fight, and obviously the coaster that won the coaster fight is Space Mountain from Disney World, created by me and Mario Master. So in the end, the final point rally for overall experience was 6.3 for Space Mountain, and then just a 6 for Ferrari. But in the 6 range for overall experience is actually pretty good for a coaster. And for final points in general is 94.1 for Space Mountain and 91.1 or 6, judging by the sheet. It's probably 6, yeah, 6. And yeah, both of these coasters, 90-point range means they're really good roller coasters. You definitely should ride them. But if it's in the 100-point range, definitely that means the coaster is really good, and you definitely probably want to ride it. So yeah, I'll review the point rally once again by all the categories. So for height, Space Mountain 2.8, then speed is 8, duration is 1, bars is 5, waiting line is 10, lighting is 5, 9 is for loading station, theming is 7, logo is 9, lag is 9, scenery is 9, exit is 4, and layout is 9, and overall experience is 6.3 once again, and final point rally once again for Space Mountain is 94.1, and Ferrari for height is 1.5, speed is 9.5, duration is 1.1, bars is 9.5, waiting line is 7, lighting is 8, loading station is 8, theming is 7, logo is 4, lag is 10, scenery is 6, exit is 4, and layout is 9. And overall experience is 6. Once again, the final point rally is 91.6 for Ferrari. So yeah, once again, Space Mountain won the coaster fight. Ferrari lost only by 3.5 points. So I hope you guys enjoyed this coaster fight, and I will see you guys in the next coaster fight. Bye-bye.